Good evening, this is September 25th, Town of Goffstown Select Board meeting. First up is call the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sure everybody's phones are off, right?
Yep.
First up is the acceptance and correction of minutes from 9/11/23, public and non-public.
I'll make a motion, we do the acceptance of the 9/11/23 public and non-public minutes with corrections if need be.
Second.
Anybody have any corrections? Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes for the... I don't have any announcements, Derek?
No announcements, no.
Then why don't we just get right into town administrator's report then?
Okay, thank you. At tab 6, you have your meeting schedule. Tomorrow night at 6 p.m., the Budget Committee is touring Town Hall and Grassmere Town Hall. On Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., Historic District Commission will be at Grassmere.
Yep, got it.
And at 7 p.m., Conservation Commission will be meeting here.
Yep, got that.
On Thursday at 6 p.m., the Budget Committee will be doing facility tours of Barnard Park and the Public Library. And Thursday at 7 p.m., the Planning Board will be in this room.
I have that.
Next week, a reminder, you do have a Select Board meeting on Monday, October 2nd at 6 p.m. The Budget Committee has a joint meeting with the School Board at 6 p.m. Tuesday, 6:30 at the Parks and Rec Center, the Village Pedestrian Bridge Ad Hoc Committee will meet.
Have it.
Wednesday at 11 a.m., Joint Loss Safety Committee.
I got it.
At 6 p.m., Budget Committee will have their second joint meeting with the School Board. 6 p.m., Economic Development Council here in this room.
I got it.
6:30 p.m., Library Board of Trustees has a working meeting. Chair Boyer should be back for that one, so we don't need coverage for that. On the next page, you have your consent agenda. You have a town clerk's office, clerk 2, new hire. You have a call EMT, part-time, new hire. A firefighter, full-time, new hire. You have a police officer with a detective incentive. You have a police sergeant retirement and a police officer resignation. You have an event permit for Granite State Health and Fitness Foundation. This is for the Glen Lake Swim Race on August 18th, 2024 from 8 a.m. to noon. You have a PSNH pole license application. This is for a new pole on Depot Street. And you have a deposit voucher for the Grassmere Town Hall Restoration Fund.
Motion to approve the consensus agenda as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Is there any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes.
On your next page, you have assessor's recommendation. This is a report of timber cut and a timber tax warrant that is recommended on map 5, lot 15.
Motion to approve the assessor's recommendation as presented this evening.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion passes.
On your next page, you have a request from the DPW director. As you may recall, 2 years ago, there was a separate article for the Fleet Garage sprinkler and HVAC. The HVAC portion of the project is nearing completion, but the sprinkler project had to go out for bid. The bids were advertised beginning September 7th with an opening schedule on September 20th. The town received no bids in response to this advertisement. The DPW director did have a quote from Hampshire Fire and is asking if Hampshire Fire remains interested in the project. He's seeking to have it awarded or to work with Hampshire Fire for the quoted amount for the sprinkler portion of the project.
What was the article, the dollar amount in that article?
I don't have that offhand. Give me a second and I will find that.
I guess everybody's busy these days, huh?
Derek, do you know how that bid went out?
I think he has that on, let's see. He had that on, not on the bid tab.
I'm just curious how many people he sent it out to.
So, let me answer one question at a time.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, so that was Article 16 on the 2022 ballot. The total project amount for ventilation and fire suppression was $250,000 total.
And we don't have anything on the sprinklers yet?
It went out to bid, they got no bids back. All he has is a quote from one of the companies that does that work in the area.
All right, and the ventilation, we haven't done anything yet.
No, the ventilation is almost completed.
Okay, how much was that? Do you remember?
I can find that answer for you as well. Let's see. Just need to pull up our finance software real quick and search on that. If it lets me. Not coming up on the finance software.
That's okay, you can just get back to me on it.
Yeah, I can give you, I can get that answer, and I might have it later in the evening.
Okay. So there was a bill in there, sent in for payment for, it's like 23,000 or something, and change, 23,750 or something.
Yep.
That was strange the way it was 49.50, 49.50, 49.50, 49.50, and then another. What was that? Is that related to this project?
So that is, it's my understanding, that is for an office for the fleet and operations manager. So that is not related to this, because that is not out of these funds. This is out of the operating budget, or that project is out of the operating budget.
So that was budgeted for that, in those lines?
Yes, he's paying for those out of his 2023 budget.
And does it meet the bid qualifications?
No, anything over $5,000 between, Danielle, can you remind me, is it 5 to 10,000, or anything under 10,000 requires? So anything between 5,000 and 10,000 requires the 3 quotes.
And did we get that?
I don't, that was not a purchase order in the system, so we don't have whether or not we got 3 quotes for that. So I would have to follow up with DPW on that to ask them that, and I can.
So we spent 23,007, whatever, 50, and to build an office, but we didn't go out to bid. It was done.
Yeah, because the bid amount is 25,000 or more.
So it didn't, but it still needed 3 quotes,
So it
right?
would still need 3 quotes or documented. But again, because it wasn't a purchase order, Danielle, typically, our typical process is when we get in items that are above $10,000, that triggers our need for a purchase order, and she does all that follow-up of, do you have the 3 quotes, and do you have all that, so.
And this was for what, Derek? The construction office and the DPW
Yeah, within the garage.
garage area?
Yep, for the fleet
Okay.
maintenance
So
manager.
fully enclosed standalone office inside that building?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the problem is it didn't get the 3 quotes.
Yeah, no,
We
I
don't-
understand. So
I don't
make sure I
know.
understand what
We
you-
just-
Okay.
It hasn't been documented with finance, in the finance software.
I know what the issue is, I just want to make sure I understand
Yeah.
what the problem
Well,
is.
I think we need to get that answer.
Yeah.
it didn't go through the purchasing policy. I think it's important that we have a policy, that we try to follow it. So we'll take a look at that one.
Yeah, I'm not finding, right now, the HVAC portion, but I'll,
Okay.
Danielle, can you maybe look that up, the HVAC that's paid out of the 2022 article? All right. Say put Danielle on that.
I guess my question is, would it be worth to go out to bid again on this project? The $73,000, the $75,000.
Did you just do that?
But
You
nobody,
did.
nobody went out or bid for that
And
project.
we don't know who he sent it to, though. I mean,
Oh. All right, so I'll make a move or motion that we do no action until next week till we know the answers, and have Adam come give us the answers.
Motion to table?
what?
Table it,
You want to table it?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I
Mark,
mean,
you're making a motion to
Yeah,
table the,
Second.
seconded by Jim. Any
I mean,
discussion on that?
until
I don't
we,
think any-
until we figure out the
There's no discussion
answers.
anyway, we want motion to table.
So to table that to the next meeting?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm sorry, we missed the public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Derek?
You gonna do the all in favor or vote for that
You
one?
don't have to do that for table, Chairman.
No, you don't have to do
Okay,
that.
all right, okay, I wasn't sure.
Do you want to have the police chief come up, or do you want me to finish up with the last item on the,
Well, we can have, yeah, Eric can come up.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello,
Good
Chief.
evening.
Hey, Chief.
So I have a couple things on the agenda. I guess I'll start, if you don't mind, with the highway safety.
so this is a tab 4 of your package?
So I'll start with, I wasn't at the meeting due to a scheduling conflict, so somehow I got voted as chairman again.
They'll teach us this to
Something
be-
about
Funny how that works.
indefinitely, so we'll start with South Mast. A gentleman came in, he was in the corner of South Mast in the area of Wallace Road. He's having a little bit of an issue where he feels that as cars are coming out of the traffic circle heading towards Pinardville, when he's trying to leave, he feels like they don't really see that he's got a driveway there, and as he's leaving, some of the traffic is coming pretty quick at him. We went through, did a traffic study as usual, realized that it's not a speed issue there, it's more of the shrub vegetation that's around his yard. So the Highway Safety Committee decided not to put any blind driveway signs up per his request, and just recommended to him that maybe trim back some of the vegetation, see if that improved the visibility for him. So they voted 4-0, no action on this specific request. They did say that if it did become an issue, that they said that he could come back and they would revisit it again to see now the vegetation's removed, and if it still is an issue, they can look at it, but they really feel that it's more of just the trees that are in the way.
You're talking about the first house right there on the right.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Barr's house, yeah.
So, Chief, the vegetation's on the property, not in the right of way?
It's on his property,
Okay, so
yeah,
it's his
so he's gonna take care of it.
Yeah.
Moving on, we have,
Chief, can I ask for, can I get a motion, this is item number 4 on the second page. Can I get a motion for no action by the board on the request for blind driveway sign?
I make a motion to take no action on the request for a blind driveway sign at 112 South Mass Street.
Second.
Motion by Collis, seconded by Mark. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
the next one's gonna be a three-way stop sign on Montalona East on Barton. Request came in for us to take a look at that. They're feeling like as they come off of Montalona and they're gonna merge on to East Dunbarton, they want another stop. There's a stop sign currently on Montalona, but not at East Dunbarton. So they want it to be essentially Montalona, the East Dunbarton side, and then one on this side, so all traffic kind of stops at that intersection. Again, we went out and did a traffic study on this. It appears that speed was not an issue there. Line of sight was not an issue, and there's not a lot of data to support accidents at that intersection. So based on that, the Highway Safety Committee voted no action on the three-way stop sign.
Motion?
Motion to take no action on the request for stop signs at Montalona Drive and East Dunbarton Road.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Carl. Any discussion? Jim, do you have a question?
Not on this one, but
Okay.
after.
All set?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Motion passes.
So the next one's gonna be Ginger Drive. Resident came in, felt that there should be a stop sign at the corner of Ginger Drive and Coriander. They went out and looked at it. It appears that the Highway Safety Committee went through some, researched it a little bit with our traffic unit, and it appears that there's already stop signs in that neighborhood, minus that one road. There is a town ordinance for that whole neighborhood for stop signs. So they all agreed that a 4-0 vote to say that we should have a stop sign placed on Coriander Way at Ginger Drive. So they recommended to put the stop sign in, based on the fact that there's already stop signs in their neighborhood, and the ordinance already says there should be a stop sign there.
Motion?
Motion to initiate process to adopt traffic ordinances for stop signs as recommended by the Highway Safety Committee.
3 stop signs, is that
Yeah,
correct?
I was just gonna say, let me clarify, it's Coriander at Ginger, Ginger at Cinnamon, and Cinnamon at Sage. So there's that whole section, as you come down Sage, it goes out to Cinnamon, then Ginger's comes off of it, and Coriander's off of Ginger. They're all dead-end streets, minus Cinnamon. So basically, the ordinance is there, just none of the stop signs are in that neighborhood put in there. So now we're just requesting to put them in that area.
Okay.
So I don't know if they were, when they first developed it, they were in, they're not there now, or they just never got put in to begin with, so.
Okay, the motion was by Mark, who seconded it?
Nobody, I will.
You will?
Yep.
Seconded by Jim. Any discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, go ahead, Jim.
No, finish it, go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion passes.
Okay, sorry. Can I just ask a question? And this, I apologize, I just caught it, on Montalona and South Mass Street. I noticed that the minutes from the committee says they recommended installation of a convex mirror in the area on both of those, and there's nothing, and then the committee moved to take no action. I was just wondering about that.
I think what it was the officer that investigated it, he put in his traffic study that he recommended putting a convex mirror in there. I believe the Highway Safety Committee voted to not put that in there and take no action on that.
Correct.
Oh, okay, all right.
Can I
so
answer your
this-
question, Jim?
Yeah, all right, thanks.
So I think what the minutes that we're saying is that the traffic study recommended to do this, but the committee, after discussion of lack of traffic collisions, they decided to take no action and did not take
I
his
just want to make sure it
recommendation.
wasn't an oversight.
Yep.
And somebody gets hurt later because of it, so.
No, it looks like he recommended it, but after they talked about the highway safety unit. said-
Okay, all right, thank you.
Highway safety committee said no.
Thanks, Chief.
No problem. All right, and our last one for this was Danis Park Road. Request comes in from the bottom of the hill as you're coming down Danis Park from Mass Road. If you don't know, it has a sharp curve that goes down the hill and then a sharp curve that goes right. This request is to initially to put up some type of barrier, guardrail, and/or request signs at their property line, as they had a couple accidents that came down the hill and crashed into their property. They went through and did a study on this, looked at some of the data. It appears that the property owner has put some stuff up to help mitigate some of these, some damage to her property. But the majority of what we're seeing for our accidents were, that were in that area, where there were, 2 of them looked like they appeared to be a DWI crash. One was a hit and run, and another one was a crash into a vehicle that was parked in the driveway. And it appears that some of them were weather related. So the Highway Safety Committee voted on installing warning signs and placard hash marks on the side of the road, indicating as cars are coming down the hill, there's guardrails on the side of the hill, but nothing indicating there's a sharp right-hand turn coming. So some of these cars that are going down that hill at night maybe aren't seeing that sharp curve ahead, similar to what we did with the Round Terrell Hill Road in Center Street. So they recommended putting those signs up, but not putting any guardrails up on that corner there. So the Highway Safety Committee recommended putting a sharp curve sign in at the midway point and white reflective delineators, similar to what we did also over on Moose Club Park Road, where that corner that comes in, we put some signage there as well, just to kind of alert the motorists coming down the hill that there is a sharp right-hand corner. So that's what they took up.
That's the house that they just built a big garage on in front of it, right? And actually moved it closer to the road?
I'm not sure. I did not go and look at the actual property. I can look it up real quick to see what the.
And they've put some reflectors out there in the front, so when you come down to the bottom of the hill, there's reflectors that change color.
That might be what they're talking about, yeah. They also put some rocks in the driveway or in the side there.
And they just put a big garage on the front and actually moved their house, moved the buildings closer to the road.
Yeah, yeah, they have reflectors and rocks there.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when that road's bad, there's not much you can do when you're coming down the hill.
Similar to Terrell Hill.
Yeah,
They start sliding, they're going.
Once you start sliding, you're all done.
Yeah. So the hope is if we put those bigger signs up as they're coming down, they'll see those bigger signs rather than those little red circle plastic pieces they have on the ground.
Okay, motion?
Motion to take, direct DPW, and to direct the DPW to install warning signs and placards to be placed on top of the hill of Danish Park Road for the sharp grade and sharp curve sign at the midway point and white reflective delineator at post of the corner. And I also, Chief, I don't know if you have in your notes, we had asked to put a yellow line in the road, a double yellow line. I don't know if, that didn't end up there, but
For, what's the reason for that?
separation of the road so that they have.
There's not a lot of room to do
No,
that
no,
on that
but
road.
They just have more sight to see what's going down, coming up ahead, Pete, that's all.
So,
Motion by Mark, need a second?
so is the lines part of the motion?
So,
It wasn't there, but I'm looking to have it added.
okay.
I mean, we'd have to talk to Adam about it. Adam, I thought, wrote it down.
So I don't have it in the minutes or in the
No.
request, so it might be if you want to add it to this.
Yeah, I'll make that motion after consultation with DPW on the line
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
So you're amending Mark's motion?
Yes.
Good. Seconded by
Me,
Jim.
second.
So we have that straight now?
Yeah, good.
All in favor of Mark's motion?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Motion passes. Derek, you want to finish up? Oh, we
I think
have,
the chief has a couple
Two
other
more
Oh, I'm
items.
sorry, I thought you were off.
The next one, if you don't mind, I'd like to just give a quick update on our radio project. So we're coming to the completion of this project. It's actually looking pretty good. I will just say right off the top, before I get into it, that I want to give a really big shout out and attaboy and accolades to Lieutenant Jeff Bernard, who, as I said before in this public forum, that from the very beginning of when we started this, I asked him to be kind of like the expert in this and understand it all, and he has done a phenomenal job, top-notch project managing this, going through, understanding the project. If it wasn't for him, I don't think we'd be in the same boat we are today. So kudos to him. Last week, we had our consultant come in and basically go through the entire project to make sure that it met our specs, what we went out for bid to Cybercom, and he was really happy with what he was seeing. We've gone through and we've been online for just over a couple of months now, and we've had really good improvements all over the town. We've heard it from fire as well. It didn't, of course, go without its couple of bumps in the road early on as we switched over, but for the most part, it's really improved our system. Just some quick highlighted notes. Our site spots now, we went from 3 receive sites and 1 transmit site as the beginning of this to now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 receive sites and 2 transmit sites. That's really good for us because when we're using these little radios and there's only 3 in this town, trying to get this out to 3 receive sites is not a good idea. Now that we have 7, we've had really good improvement on our portables. So St. A's site is basically all set with fiber and microwave connectivities. I'm just going to give you guys a quick one. The Mountain has fiber and microwave. Station 18 microwave fiber. Powell Lane in Dumbarton has fiber and microwave. Station 17 is microwave only. We're currently still waiting to get our fiber installed. Everything's ready. It's just the people who install fiber First Light are still waiting to get their permits. GPD is online 100% and Mountain View is online 100%. I will add that also Brian Ray has helped us out a lot because we had to go from the school's network to our network, and now we've got it all installed where we're all on our own dark fiber and not transitioning 2 separate networks. So kudos to Brian for helping us with that. So far, we've gone through, they've done, the only thing that we noticed just recently through Factory Street was they did a test on that building inside and the numbers weren't meeting the requirement for our portables, although ours was a little bit better for signal than fire. So they're going to put a new system in there before they go and they get the CO to get in there, which is good for us. Everything is doing pretty well. The only things that we have to kind of touch base with Cybercom is just making sure that we have a few things that are still not working the way they should be. Minor stuff, we're looking at that. A battery tray, 18's backup site. But other than that, we're good to go. We've tested all of our consolettes and consoles failover, so we have redundant backup. So we took our vendor and our consultant and we shut off one system and the other one backed right up and worked, no problem, lost connection. We're currently looking into shutting off the network, so I'm plugging one plug to see if the failover network picks that up. But other than that, it's looking like it's 100% better than where it was. We're working with New Boston. They're having some issues with our system combining with theirs, which originally we were told wasn't supposed to happen, but New
I got a
Boston.
public hearing at 6:30.
Oh, sorry. Basically, New Boston's all you're working on that, but other than that, it's all set. Radio's
Anybody
good.
got any questions before we? I just wanted to say one quick thing. I attended Friday's Matt Hosney retirement. It's 24 years. Congratulations to him. He was a great guy. He's still a great guy, but
Yeah.
he's just not a great guy in the police department anymore.
No, he's done. So it was an awesome sight, bittersweet moment.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, at 6:30, we have a public hearing scheduled in compliance with RSA 41 Code 14-A. The Goffstown Select Board is conducting this public hearing to accept public input pertaining to the town purchase vacant property off of Mill Street, map 34, lot 164A, owned by the Goffstown Rotary Club Park Charitable Trust. The Select Board's vote will take place at a public meeting scheduled for 10/2/23. The proposed purchase was forwarded to the Goffstown Planning Board and Conservation Commission for comment in accordance with RSA 41:14A. Is there anybody here, I've opened up the public hearing, is there anybody here to speak to this?
Hi, my name is Paula Bedard. I live at 36 Shirley Park Road. So I just have a question for Select Board, if you can answer it. Curious if the agreement includes the stipulations from Rotary Club that they asked for in the original letter. So they asked for, as part of the agreement, that the park keeps the name Rotary Park, the monument stays where it is, and that they retain an easement for use of the park during public events. So I'm curious if those 3 things are part of the agreement, if you can answer that.
I can answer that as I negotiated. Yes, on the Rotary Park. As far as the monument's gonna stay, but it may have to be moved,
Correct.
only because of
Right.
whatever we do for construction wise. And they do have a right of first refusal to use the property for a town event.
Okay, and no other, like, agreements will be part of that? Those are just those 3 things?
Right.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing.
And you'll have a vote on this next week.
Right, on the second.
Yep.
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Is there a written document concerning the sale yet?
Do we have anything?
No, we can reach out to our attorney about drafting
Can we
the
see that
transfer.
before?
I think there was both attorney, or their attorney was working on something too, I believe, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but she makes a good point. I'd like to see what the details are before we vote.
Oh, yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay, Derek, you want to continue on?
I think the police chief still had
Oh, I'm sorry.
at least one item, and might have had a little bit of follow-up on the tower as well.
So, thank you again. I did want to mention for the radio project, I'm going to get off the actual project itself, but I wanted to, I don't know if this is the right time to talk about the special revolving fund. Mark and I, we've talked about this in the past, but basically setting up a fund so designed that as we're moving forward in the future here, we have monies allocated to use to fix this or put maintenance stuff into it. So we're not going to CIP like we've done this last time around where we're saying we need $2 million to do a whole upgrade. So we've talked to DRA, we've talked to Danielle and Derek about potentially getting a special revolving fund put on the warrant article designed for the radio system itself. And a couple mechanisms, funding mechanisms that I was thinking about is using some of those dispatch contracting revenues to seed it. And down the road, there's also the ability to generate revenue for the town on 17's tower. That tower was designed pretty beefy or big, where they could potentially have cell networks come in and rent or lease that tower from us and put a couple different cell towers up there. That revenue could be generated to help with that fund as well.
You're talking a revolving fund or is that?
The preference between Danielle and myself would be a revolving fund.
Versus a CRF?
Versus a special revenue fund or versus a CRF. The best way would be a revolving fund, and to ask town meeting to name the select board as the agents for that, and then to put any of the dispatch contract revenue. Right now, we collect about $160,000 a year from the surrounding agencies that we provide dispatch for. So that would be a reduction in revenue on the general fund side, but it would be put in annually or as it comes in into the revolving fund. And then that revolving fund would allow them to, if they had major upgrades that they need to do, as well as there is going to be an annual maintenance cost for the system.
So I'll bring you guys back to when we did the contract with them. Cybercom gave us, per your guys' request, the 5-year maintenance plan. So they come in, they help us fix stuff, but not everything's included. That's a $48,000 charge every year for 5 years. That is something that we agreed on when we first did this contract, and we all voted it in. And my question would be, or I guess my thought is, we put that in my operation line, in that special revolving fund can help pay it back, or just, I guess, I don't want to say switch the money, but essentially we're paying it off from that line itself, whereas the dispatch fees are coming in and or any other revenue that we get from the towers.
How many times are you going to spend those funds?
I would
Because
have
you have, in the past, we've said that we're bringing in these funds would help pay for a console, an extra console and things like that. So that's what you've used that money for in the past. I said, this is what we're going to use these contracted funds for. Now, you're going to use those contracted funds again for something else.
No, I would say
anything
up to date, those dispatch fees have come into the general fund.
Yeah.
They have never been set aside in a separate fund for dispatch. The idea is to actually take those funds out of the general fund and keep them dedicated for dispatch and the
Radio
and the radios.
So that would be for dispatch also then?
Anything radio related, yes. I guess, and obviously the consoles are radios and dispatch stuff, yeah.
All right.
And I guess for me, it's, and again, this isn't my wheelhouse, but it seems cleaner when we have that special revolving fund that's designated just for the radios and dispatching, where all these fees are coming in, and then we come to the board and say, hey, we need to do these upgrades. This is the money that's set aside to start upgrading, rather than going to CIP or other, or putting in the operating budget. And each year we have these major spikes of, for the operating budget. just a suggestion that we've been talking about to try to streamline it. Seems like it might be a little bit more efficient that way. And just, Mark, you said that there was a couple of towns that you know that did that.
I was gonna comment on that. Hooksett has the fund that you were mentioned. They had a lightning strike 2 years ago, and they went into that special fund to take the money out to repair the radios. It didn't affect the taxes or anything in town. It was money that was put aside in that fund. Hooksett does it. I believe Litchfield is just starting it, because they also as well, just completed a $1.9 million radio renovations.
Well, you don't ever want to say it doesn't affect taxes, especially if it goes, been going into the general fund.
Yeah.
Because we use money from the general
Yeah.
fund to help offset tax rates, so you can't ever say that it doesn't affect taxes every time you spend a dollar, it affects. But I understand what you're saying, that's, I don't have a problem with it, I want to look at all that.
I think if the board's okay with it, we'll bring it forward with, for budget discussions, because it would be a warrant article. That $160,000 represents, with the new value of the town, approximately 6 cents annually. But the idea is by removing that revenue out, at least you're starting to build up that,
The pot.
the pot. So if you have a major equipment replacement that's required, that you've got that money set aside.
And then what happens if you lose your contract, stuff that goes in there?
Essentially.
Or you need to find, like the
Another-
chief had said, some other source of
Some revenue.
revenue, whether you're renting out space on the Station 17 tower.
Yeah.
That'd be the only other place, but yes.
And
Question. Has Brian Ray or anybody started to look at the Station 17 tower to see if there's any interest in that, so we can start with that?
I have heard that since that tower has been completed, that cell companies have been asking, kind of, does that have the ability to put cell infrastructure up there?
Yeah.
So I think that might be a conversation if these cell towers come to us that the board would want to look into, because I think that side of town is very limited to cell reception. I'm sure Phil Devanza, who's probably one.
Who would that be addressed to, you?
No, I think what it would, I've always told the chief, let's get the radio project done 100%,
Yeah.
100% accepted. But yeah, the next step would be to put out a request for proposals, and you'd actually put out a request
Yeah.
to cell carriers that, who's interested
Share
on,
tower space?
yeah, to lease out tower space.
Yeah, I've heard a couple of the networks have already been inquiring about that new tower. So it might be something for us to look into.
Is that lucrative? Is it?
I can tell you, if you want a quick number, I've heard that some towers in our area charge about $5,000 a month per carrier. Just depends on the capacity of the tower itself, and so I don't know if that's something that's might not be ours, but that's what I've heard around us.
Would you cap the numbers, cap the dollars in that fund?
Would we cap the dollars in the fund? I don't know what mechanism we would have for that. I think if the fund built up a substantial amount of funds to the point where the board or the town voters were concerned about how much was in there, they could always change and stop revenue going into that fund. But as the project this time was $1.9 million, at some point, whether it's through continued repair and upgrades, it's gonna be a significant cost at some point in the future for the town to keep that system current, so.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so just an example, these radios we got back 4 or 5 years ago, the newer ones, these weren't upgraded in the radio system because these are pretty new, but at some point, we all know technology, 3, 4, 5 years, these are gonna be becoming obsolete, right? So we're gonna need to figure out a way to generate money to buy new ones, whether it's through this fund, through putting in the operating supply, budget, through CIP, or try to find a grant that will pay for it. But that's kind of where we're at with, you know, as we're moving along in the years and technology is changing, we need to upgrade. That might not be part of our maintenance agreement. This would be a mechanism where we could just come to you guys and ask for permission to spend some of the money on stuff like that.
And I would expect if somebody approached us to lease space on the tower, they'd be required to perform the engineering evaluation, make sure that it's structurally sound.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were, just as we were when we
Yeah.
put some of the infrastructure onto towers with this project.
Okay.
That's true.
Anything else, Chief?
I had, do you guys want an update on Punkin Regatta? Just I talked to the Main Street.
Yeah, I mean,
Tina.
if you want to bring us up to speed.
Real quick, so I spoke with Tina and Adam Bronkowitz about kind of shutting down Main Street. We've talked about it. I know when I came to you guys a couple weeks ago, we talked about blocking off or bringing it down from Main to Church to block it off there. Talking to them and also thinking about the tractor that's going to go up and down the street. They've asked us to bring it back to Elm Street in Maine because they're afraid that they need the space for the vendors on Main Street. So what we've kind of decided was we're going to go ahead and block off both sides, and Tina's working on potentially getting designated spots in School Street in the SAU parking lot and the town hall for customers of Main Street businesses to say you can park in these, and trying to keep them open while Punkin Regatta is going on. If we block off up on Elm Street and don't block off Church, where they usually do it, that leaves the back lot here open, because usually what they do is they block off Church over here, which blocks off this parking lot. So we're gonna leave this open so we can have the people park up here in the parking lot to then go ahead and patronize some of these businesses. We're also gonna have the vendors park some of their cars in School Street, the SAU parking lot, so that way it keeps those cars away from this public parking spot. The laundromat, we're gonna have people at that detour, that if someone needs public parking and we'll have space for them to drive right in there and drive right out. So we're working with CERT to try to see if CERT can be posted there as well. The big thing for us is the big issue we're gonna have is gonna be during the Punkin Regatta. Adam told me that they are bringing out the pumpkin eater. So what we're gonna see is exactly what we talked about, is the thought of everybody running across the bridge back and forth while the pumpkin eater's coming underneath. He says once he gets through the bridge and onto the other side, that's where he stays. So most people are gonna, eventually stay on that side. Going around, I don't think we're ever gonna be able to keep the people off that bridge while it's going on. So we have two options that we're looking at doing. Either making it one lane of traffic and keeping one lane for people, the bystanders, stand on, and we'll just have to alternate traffic, or just during that time that the pumpkin's going by, he's estimating 20 to 30 minutes, we just block that traffic right there and just get everybody on the bridge, and once it's done, we get them off the bridge and we just start traffic again. That's gonna be the biggest issue I foresee us dealing with on Sunday at 3 o'clock. Other than that, she's doing all the reaching out to all the businesses, all the people who live here. She's gonna talk to these people here and then Flanders Court and give them try to reserve spots for them on the back of SAU and here for them to park. And if they choose not to, we're gonna work with them about keeping space open if they need to leave, go up on that one side of Main Street that's gonna have an open spot. We're gonna barricade off the middle of the street with some conage, or barrels, or maybe ask the high school if we can use their new tall, skinny barricades. And essentially, each side that's going to be barricaded will have 2 or 3 different either sawhorses, barrels, and potentially a car there as well to block it off. So we've been talking pretty good. We've had a pretty good plan. Tina's going to put all this information out there. Put signage out, working with Adam with those 4 signboards, putting those out to let the motorists know weeks in advance that, this is happening. That's pretty much where we're at. Nothing's really changed too big from the last time we talked, other than we're probably gonna have to keep the bridge open for people.
Okay. But just the only concern I think we all have to worry about is, the church traffic on Sunday morning. People, where'd all these people go? Especially
Yeah.
you got this one here and you got St. Lawrence, I mean.
Yeah, she's gonna talk to them, but I think in the past, what I've seen is St. Lawrence has always been good to us for the Saturday day, of letting people park there, but obviously Sunday is gonna be a little bit different, because they're gonna have their people there. The road's gonna be open, it's really, the detour is gonna be, you're coming down from where you need to come on this side of the bridge, you're just taking Church Street to Kendall Hadley Depot, and you're good to go. Right? They can still get through this part of town. It's just going to be a little bit different than what they're normally doing. So we'll have that signage, and she's going to work on detour stuff to put out to everybody. And then again, if we're talking about right here, you know, barring not parking on Main Street, we're going to have the monument open, and behind them over here they can park as well. So behind the town hall. I don't know where people park on Sunday for this church right here, other than probably Main Street. I don't know if they're using.
Well, a lot of them park right here in the parking lot.
Yeah. The other thing that I did not know when I came to you guys last time was Boschman has given permission to use his land for parking on the corner of Maple Ave and Elm Street. So that's going to be a huge parking lot for them for Saturday and Sunday, plus Maple Ave. I had suggested to them that a good promotion would be, if they're coming for the Pumpkin Regatta and they're on this side of town, park at the school, walk right down Reed Street, and you're there. You know, you don't have to necessarily walk all around the block to get into the Pumpkin, you know, to watch the race itself. So they're working on that. So it's going to be something that we're trying this year to see how it goes, and hopefully it'll be a couple more years for that.
If I could, Peter. I think it would be helpful if we could put together a diagram or a sketch that shows all of these different moving parts and how they're gonna work with some notes, so we can get that out early so people know what to expect.
That's part of the plan, Collins.
Okey-doke.
She's trying to put together some marketing stuff. We can help her as well. This is what the road's gonna be closed. Here's your detour signs. She has draft press releases already done for the business owners, for the residents, and then what we're gonna put out to the public. Tina's already done all that. We're just kind of waiting to finalize everything.
Great. Thank you.
So
Millennial Running still haven't, are they still doing that race?
I heard from them that they are not doing the race this year.
They're not doing
That
races.
Pumpkin Regatta's not doing it. Or the Main Street program, keep saying the Pumpkin Regatta.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, you're welcome.
Derek, you want to finish?
Sure, I had left off at page 18 of your packet. The final item is the MS 535. This is the financial report of the town with the year ending December 31st, 2022. It was completed by the auditors and submitted to DRA. And it's really a comparison of those audited expenditures and revenues versus what was estimated during the budget process. Danielle has made some notes on here and can comment on those, but specifically, the expenditures came in at approximately 8.4% under voted appropriations, and revenue funds came in at 8% over what was originally projected. We do expect unadjusted fund balance to be closer to $7.2 million at tax rate setting this fall, which is near or at the 12% minimum required by the town's fund balance policy.
So that means we won't have much to use in the.
Correct.
So that 7.4 should be adjusted to 7.2, right?
Correct, yeah, we had 7.4, but then the town voted to use $250,000 to fund the capital reserve fund for fire apparatus.
Yep.
Anything else? Any questions?
I would just ask for a motion to approve as prepared by the auditing firm, and then we have a copy for everyone to sign so that we can submit to DRA.
Make a motion to approve the MS 535 as prepared by the town's auditing firm, Plotsky and Sanderson, PA.
Second.
Motion by Mark, seconded by Jim. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining, motion passes. Is there any new business? Anybody got anything?
Nope, good.
Derek, you got anything?
Not for new business, no.
Okay, I have, oh, never mind, we can talk about it later. I noticed that, was there a new position created in the police department? I don't remember seeing that position before. Pardon me? I don't know, I signed, we were signing in there, going through, you know,
Oh, that's.
Oh, that was a detective, that was a detective
Yeah.
incentive.
Yeah.
And I think,
The position that you're speaking of, we sent an officer to the task force, remember we talked about that. He is considered a detective, so we had to get him his incentive, that's part of the contract.
well, just the way it was written, detective/task force, I
Yeah,
don't remember seeing a job description for that one. So.
he is a, yes.
Yes.
We sent him as a task force officer, but I will fall on the sword on this. He technically is a detective, working detective division, just not in our building, he's with the task force. So technically, he should be a task force detective, not a task force officer. We just never gave him that designation or that incentive. That's why you're seeing it now and signing off on it.
I just hadn't seen it before, written like that before, so.
Right.
It's
So,
10, 12 years doing this, and all of a sudden
that's because
something pops up.
he's our first one that we
Yeah.
put back there, so, yeah.
All right, thanks. Thank you. All right, let's go on old business. Anything up to, with the first one there?
no, we've been pretty busy working with the CBA's negotiations, so we haven't had a chance to touch on that.
Village Bridge, they had the 10-3 meeting. Proposed project, this, we haven't, when are we gonna do this?
I think you had targeted the meeting, your next meeting next week.
The 10-2
The 10
meeting?
Yes, at least to provide.
I
an
thought the
answer.
10-2 meeting was a special meeting for the,
It is a special meeting, but you're not gonna have a meeting on October 9th.
okay.
So, because of the Columbus Day holiday, it changes it up, and as we get into budgets, we envision that it would be,
So the next meeting is gonna be
Monday.
a full board meeting?
yes, it's gonna be a full board meeting.
Okay. There's nothing on the grant, right? That's just in process.
No, we'll be meeting, HCC will be meeting Wednesday night and finishing up any of those updates that we'll provide to LCHIP.
We got 2 police cars out of service. And then 2 fire engines. None of the, we were down 2 trash trucks the other day to get them both, they're all up back to work.
They must have, I reached out to Zeb and Adam and didn't, or maybe they were, I'd reached out to them on Friday, so Friday they were probably busy, Zeb was probably busy working with the guys on the trash trucks, because I did see the announcement, but I didn't get any follow-up from them.
Anything else? Questions, guys? Motion, Mark?
Motion to go into non-public.
Oh, wait a minute. Is there anybody here for public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Go ahead, Mark.
Motion to go into non-public session, RSA 91A:3, 2, if necessary. A, promotions, and what was the other one you added, Derek?
Compensation, so it would be A, promotion and compensation, and then C, matter with, if discussed in public, would likely adverse the reputation of a person other than a member of the public body itself.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 That'll conclude tonight's public portion of the meeting. Thank you for watching.